Some stories are told because they happened. Others are told because they changed everyone who heard them. This is one of those stories. There is an old saying where I come from that every village carries one story, a story so unbelievable that even those who witnessed it still struggle to explain it. Our story began on an ordinary Tuesday morning, the day blind Melissa arrived. At first, none of us paid much attention. Strangers passed through our village all the time. Some came looking for work, some came looking for family, others came because life had left them with nowhere else to go. We thought Melissa was one of them, a young woman carrying one small brown suitcase, a white walking cane, and wearing dark glasses that covered most of her face. She walked slowly, carefully, counting every step. The children stopped playing, the women paused at the market. Even the old men beneath the baobab tree lifted their heads. Someone whispered, "Such a young girl." Another replied, "And blind too." Nobody knew her name then. She became the blind girl. What surprised us wasn't that she had arrived alone. It was that she never asked anyone to pity her. She rented the smallest room in the village, a room with a leaking roof, a cracked window, and a bed that complained every time she turned. She thanked the landlord, paid 1 month's rent, and quietly shut the door. That evening, old Mama Abina carried a bowl of soup to her. The next morning, Melissa returned the bowl, washed so clean, it looked brand new. That was the first thing people noticed. She never accepted kindness without returning it. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. Melissa learned every path in the village. She counted her footsteps. She recognized people by their voices. She knew the smell of fresh bread before anyone else. She laughed with the children, prayed with the old women, bought vegetables from the markets every Friday. Little by little, she stopped being the stranger. Looking back now, I suppose none of us really knew who had entered our village that morning. But there was one person who kept his distance, Kwame. Every morning, he walked to the village school carrying a pile of books under one arm. Every afternoon, children followed him home as though he were the Pied Piper. He was respected, quiet, gentle, the kind of man who listened more than he spoke. Yet strangely, he never offered to help Melissa, not once. The women in the market didn't like that. "What kind of man watches a blind woman struggle?" they whispered. "He thinks too highly of himself," another said. Melissa noticed it too. She never complained, but she wondered, why was the kindest man in the village the only one who never came near her? She didn't know that Kwame was asking himself the same question. Who is this woman? Melissa didn't know it then, neither did Kwame, but two people who had spent years running from themselves had just met. If you stayed in our village long enough, you would discover something. News traveled faster than the wind. By the end of Melissa's first week, everyone knew exactly where she lived. Everyone except Teacher Kwame, or so we believed. Every morning, just before the school bell rang, Melissa would leave her little room carrying a woven basket. She bought tomatoes from Akosua, fresh bread from Old Kofi, ground nuts from Little Efua. She never hurried. She always thanked people by name. It amazed us. A woman who had never seen our faces remembered every voice. Even the children adored her. They competed for the chance to walk beside her. Sometimes they argued over who would carry her basket. Melissa always laughed. One basket, she would say, cannot have four owners. The children laughed every time. Before long, the laughter returned to parts of our village that had been quiet for years. But every beautiful story has one mystery. Ours was Teacher Kwame. You could search the whole district and never find anyone who spoke badly of him. He treated every child as though they were his own. If a widow's roof collapsed, Kwame was there. If an old farmer became ill, Kwame visited him. If a child could not afford books, somehow books always appeared. He never told anyone where the money came from. He simply smiled and changed the subject. Yet whenever Melissa approached, Kwame quietly stepped aside. Not once. Did he offer his hand? Not once. Did he ask whether she needed help? Not once. Did he walk her home? The women noticed. Of course they noticed. Market women notice everything. One afternoon, Mama Abina shook her head. I understand young men, she sighed, but I don't understand that one. Another woman answered, perhaps he doesn't like blind people. An old man laughed. Kwame. He'd carry an injured goat home if it asked politely. Everyone laughed, except Melissa. She said nothing. But that evening, as she sat alone outside her little room, she found herself thinking about the only man who never tried to impress her. It made no sense. Why did everyone rush toward her while he quietly walked away? The question stayed with her. Days passed. Then one Friday afternoon, the rains came, not ordinary rain, the kind that swallowed roads and emptied the marketplace in minutes. Melissa stood beneath the roof of an old shop, waiting, listening. The rain grew heavier. Then, without warning, a calm voice spoke beside her. You'll catch a fever if you wait here. It was the first time Teacher Kwame had ever spoken to her. Melissa smiled. I thought you avoided me. A long silence followed. I avoid many things, he answered quietly. Not just you. Before Melissa could reply, he placed an umbrella into her hands. You can keep it. Then he walked away, alone, into the rain. Melissa stood there, holding the umbrella, confused. She listened to his footsteps, until the storm swallowed them. That night, for the first time since arriving in our village, blind Melissa could not sleep. She had met men who spoke beautifully, men who promised the world, men who fought for her attention, but she had never met a man who walked away after showing kindness. She whispered to herself, almost embarrassed, Who are you, Teacher Kwame? Little did she know. At that very moment, Teacher Kwame was asking the same question, not about the blind woman, about himself. There was one place in our village where time seemed to slow down, an old mango tree. Its branches stretched so wide that even the hottest afternoon sun could not find its way through. Children played beneath it. Old men settled arguments beneath it. Young lovers, though they pretended otherwise, often found reasons to walk past it. And every evening, when the school bell had long fallen silent, Teacher Kwame sat beneath that tree, alone, always reading, always writing, always thinking. No one disturbed him. It was understood. The mango tree belonged to Kwame after sunset. Melissa learned this without anyone telling her. She noticed the children speaking about it. She noticed the silence that settled around the tree each evening. Somehow, she always knew when he was there. Perhaps loneliness recognizes loneliness. One afternoon, Melissa was returning from the market carrying more than she should. A basket of cassava, vegetables, firewood. Even the children laughed. "Blind Melissa," one little boy teased. "Did you buy the whole market?" She laughed. "I was given a good price." The children offered to help. She thanked them, but refused. Slowly, carefully, she continued home. She never saw the stone, or perhaps she wasn't looking for it. Her foot caught. The basket slipped. Cassava rolled across the dusty road. Tomatoes scattered everywhere. The children gasped. Before anyone moved, someone quietly knelt beside her. No words, just hands, gathering tomatoes one by one. Melissa knew that silence. Teacher Kwame. Neither of them spoke. He simply filled the basket again, placed it gently beside her, then stood. "You forgot your onions," he said softly. Melissa smiled. "So," she whispered, "you finally decided to help me." Kwame looked toward the distant hills. "No," he answered. "I decided to help someone who happened to need it." For reasons she could not explain, those words remained with Melissa long after he had gone, not because he had helped her, many people had, but because he had helped her without making her feel helpless. That evening, Melissa found herself walking, without realizing it, toward the old mango tree. She stopped a few steps away. The children had already gone home. Only Kwame remained. A book rested on his lap. He looked up. "You've come a long way for someone who cannot see," Melissa laughed softly. "And you've spoken more today than you have in 3 months." For the first time, Kwame laughed. It wasn't loud, it wasn't long, but it was enough. The whole village would have been shocked, because no one could remember the last time Teacher Kwame had laughed. Melissa tilted her head. "You should laugh more often." The smile disappeared from his face. "I used to," he replied quietly. Silence returned, not an uncomfortable silence, the kind shared by two people who discover they don't have to fill every moment with words. As the sun disappeared behind the hills, Kwame closed his book. "Would you like me to read to you?" Melissa nodded. He began reading an old African folk tale, a story about a traveler who spent years searching for treasure, only to discover it had always been buried beneath his own home. Melissa listened, every word. When the story ended, she asked quietly, "Did the traveler feel foolish?" Kwame looked at the fading sunlight. "No," he answered. "I think he felt grateful." "For what?" "For finally stopping long enough to dig." Melissa lowered her head. She didn't know why, but something about those words made her heart ache. Neither of them realized it then. But that evening, beneath an old mango tree, two people who had spent years running from their past had unknowingly taken their very first step toward home. From that evening onward, something changed. Not dramatically, not suddenly, like the first drops of rain, before anyone realizes the season has changed. Melissa began ending her evenings beneath the old mango tree. She never asked permission. She simply arrived, sat quietly beneath its shade, and waited. Sometimes Teacher Kwame read aloud. Sometimes they spoke. Most evenings, they said almost nothing at all. And strangely, those became Melissa's favorite evenings. One afternoon, she finally asked him, "Why do you always read?" Kwame smiled without looking up. "Books don't interrupt." Melissa laughed. "No," she replied, "but they also don't answer back." For a brief moment, The old smile returned to Kwame's face. They answer if you're patient enough. Melissa thought about that all evening. The next day, she surprised him. She arrived carrying 2 roasted ears of corn. I can't finish both, she lied. Kwame looked at the corn, then at her. I see, he said. You've become generous overnight. Melissa laughed. No, she answered. I've become hungry with company. For the first time, they ate together, not in a restaurant, not at a grand table, just beneath an old mango tree. While children chased each other through the dusty road nearby, it was simple, perhaps too simple, because neither of them realized they were experiencing something money could never buy. One evening, Kwame closed his book earlier than usual. May I ask you something? Melissa nodded. Were you born blind? For the first time, Melissa's smile disappeared. She lowered her head. Her fingers tightened around the edge of the bench. The answer came slowly. So many people have asked me that. Kwame waited. I've learned, she whispered, that not every question deserves an answer. There was no anger in her voice, only sadness. Kwame nodded. I understand. And to Melissa's surprise, he never asked again. That night, she cried. Not because of the question, but because, for the first time in years, someone had respected her silence. The days passed. The village began talking. Villages always do. The market women smiled whenever Melissa walked by. The children teased them endlessly. Teacher, one little boy shouted, when are you going to marry blind Melissa? The whole village burst into laughter. Kwame almost dropped the books he was carrying. Melissa covered her face, trying to hide her smile. The little boy ran away before anyone could catch him. For several moments, neither of them spoke. Then, Melissa quietly said, I hope that didn't embarrass you. Kwame adjusted the books beneath his arm. No, he answered. It frightened me. Melissa frowned. Why? He looked toward the old mango tree, then quietly replied, because villages have a habit of turning kindness into rumors. He smiled politely, wished her a peaceful evening, and walked away. Melissa watched him leave, or at least, that is what we believed. She stood there for a long time, long after he had disappeared down the dusty road. That night, blind Melissa asked herself a question she had never expected. Not, do I trust Teacher Kwame? But, why does it hurt every time he walks away? Meanwhile, alone beneath the mango tree, Teacher Kwame asked himself a question too, one he had not dared to ask in years. Am I finally ready to let someone into my life again? Neither of them knew it, but the answers to those 2 questions would soon change everything. There is something about peace. You never know how hungry you are for it until you finally taste it. That was what happened to Melissa. She had lived in our village for almost 6 months, and for the first time in her life, she stopped counting the days. Back where she came from, every day demanded something: a meeting, a decision, a dinner, a phone call, another stranger wanting something. But here, the loudest sound each morning was a rooster who believed the whole village belonged to him, and somehow that was enough. Melissa found herself smiling more, sleeping better, laughing without forcing it. Even the wrinkles of worry began leaving her face. Mama Abina noticed first. One afternoon, she held Melissa's hands and smiled. My daughter, she whispered, whatever burden you carried into this village, it is becoming lighter. Melissa smiled. If only she knew. One evening, Teacher Kwame arrived beneath the mango tree carrying something unusual. Not a book, a small wooden box. Melissa heard him place it gently beside the bench. "What is it?" she asked. Kwame opened the lid. "My students made these." He placed a tiny wooden bird into her hands. Its wings were kindly carved. Not perfect, but beautiful. Melissa gently traced its shape with her fingers. "They're talented. They're learning," Kwame corrected softly. "There is a difference." Melissa smiled. "And what is the difference?" Kwame looked toward the school. "Talent impresses people." He paused. "Character changes them." Melissa became very quiet. Those words stayed with her for days, because without knowing it, Kwame had described the life she had spent trying to escape. She had impressed many people. She wasn't sure she had changed anyone. The following week, Melissa began visiting the school. At first, only to listen. The children loved having her there. She helped them memorize poems. She listened while they struggled through their reading. She clapped louder than anyone whenever they succeeded. One afternoon, a little girl climbed onto Melissa's lap. "Teacher Melissa," she said proudly. The whole classroom laughed. Melissa laughed too, but something inside her quietly broke. Nobody had ever called her that before. Not madam, not director, not miss, just Teacher Melissa. For reasons she could not explain, it sounded more precious than every title she had ever carried. That evening, beneath the mango tree, Melissa asked a question. "Kwame," he looked up from his book, "have you ever wondered what your life would have been like if you had chosen another path?" Kwame closed the book, very slowly. "I used to," he answered. "And now?" A long silence settled between them. Then he smiled. "I've stopped asking." Melissa looked surprised. "Why?" "Because," he said softly, "I finally discovered that peace and success are not always neighbors." Melissa lowered her head. Those words pierced deeper than he could possibly know. She wanted to tell him everything. She wanted to tell him who she really was, where she had come from, why she had chosen a white cane, why she had hidden behind dark glasses. The words reached her lips, then disappeared. Fear won again that night. Melissa couldn't sleep. She opened the little wooden bird the children had given her. Hidden inside was a tiny folded piece of paper. In a child's untidy handwriting were just 6 words. "Thank you for seeing us, teacher." Melissa stared at those words for a very long time. Then, for the first time since arriving in our village, she began to cry. Not because she was unhappy, but because she finally understood what had been missing from her life. Not wealth, not admiration, not attention, purpose, real purpose. At that very moment, beneath the same mango tree, Teacher Kwame sat alone, looking up at the stars, quietly asking himself a question he hadn't dared ask in years. Why does tomorrow matter to me again? He smiled, not because he knew the answer, but because, for the first time in a very long time, he wanted to find it. Neither of them realized it then, but love had already entered their hearts, not loudly, not dramatically. It had arrived the way dawn arrives, so quietly that no one notices until the whole sky has changed. Some truths do not become easier with time, they become heavier. Melissa discovered that one quiet evening beneath the old mango tree. She and Kwame had fallen into a beautiful routine. He no longer asked if she was coming. She no longer asked if he would be there. Some friendships simply learned the way. On this particular evening, Kwame wasn't reading. The book remained closed beside him. Melissa noticed. "You've been staring at the same page for 10 minutes. Kwame smiled. "So you've become very observant." Melissa laughed softly. "Perhaps." He nodded. "Or perhaps," he said, "you finally started seeing." For reasons she couldn't explain, those words frightened her. She quickly changed the subject. "The children did well today." "They did. They're beginning to believe in themselves." Kwame looked toward the school. "That's always the hardest lesson." Melissa became thoughtful. "Harder than reading?" Kwame smiled. "Much harder." He picked up a tiny stone, rolling it slowly between his fingers. Children learn the alphabet quickly. They learn numbers. They learn history. But teaching someone to believe their life matters. He shook his head. "That takes years." Melissa listened quietly. Then she asked, "And who taught you that?" For the first time, Kwame didn't answer immediately. The evening became strangely still. Even the birds seemed quieter. Finally, he spoke. "Failure." Melissa frowned. "Failure." He nodded. "The greatest teacher I've ever known." She wanted to ask more. She wanted to know everything. But something in his voice asked her not to. So instead, they sat together, listening to the wind. Sometimes, silence is kinder than curiosity. After a while, Kwame stood. "I should go." Melissa felt an unexpected disappointment. "So soon?" He smiled. "The children have an exam tomorrow." He picked up his bag, then paused. "Melissa." It was the first time he had spoken her name so gently. She looked toward his voice. "Yes. I've been meaning to ask you something." Her heart began to race. "Go ahead." He hesitated, then quietly said, "When people look at you, they seem to see sadness. But when I listen to you, I hear someone who has known great joy." He smiled sadly. "I've often wondered, what happened in between?" Melissa stopped breathing. This was it. This was the moment. She could tell him everything. The mansion, the endless wealth, the lies, the white cane, the woman she used to be. Her lips parted. Nothing came out. Fear, once again, won. After a long silence, she simply whispered, "One day, I'll tell you." Kwame nodded. "I'll wait." Those two words echoed inside Melissa long after he disappeared down the dusty road. "I'll wait." She sat beneath the mango tree until darkness covered the village. Tears quietly found their way down her face. Not because she had lied, but because, for the first time in her life, someone had given her time instead of pressure. Someone believed her truth would come when she was ready. That night, Melissa made a decision that frightened her more than anything she had ever done. She would tell him everything. No more hiding, no more pretending, no more darkness. Tomorrow evening, beneath the old mango tree, she would finally tell Teacher Kwame who she really was. She smiled through her tears. For the first time in months, she felt free. She had no idea that at that very same moment, many miles away, a black luxury vehicle had quietly turned onto the dusty road leading toward our village. Inside sat an elderly woman, holding a faded photograph. She looked through the window and whispered, "My daughter, I finally found you." A long silence. No one in our village knew it then. Not Melissa, not Teacher Kwame, not even old Mama Abina. By this time tomorrow, every life in our village would begin to change. There are moments when life quietly changes direction. You don't hear them, you don't see them, you only understand them much later. That morning, Melissa woke with a peace she had never known. For the first time in many months, she was no longer afraid. She folded her blanket, swept her little room, watered the small flowers outside her door. Even old Mama Abina noticed. "My daughter," she smiled, "your heart is singing today." Melissa laughed. "I think," she whispered, "it finally grew tired of hiding." Mama Abina laughed without understanding. Neither did the rest of us. Only Melissa knew that before sunset, everything would change. Meanwhile, Teacher Kwame finished teaching earlier than usual. His students noticed. "Teacher," one little boy laughed, "why do you keep looking at the sun?" The classroom burst into laughter. Kwame smiled. "I have somewhere to be." The children cheered. They had never heard him say that before. As afternoon slowly faded, Melissa stood before the little mirror hanging on her wall. She removed the dark glasses. For a long time, she simply looked at herself. It had been months since she had truly done that. Quietly, she picked up the white cane, held it in both hands, then whispered, "Thank you." Not because it had protected her, but because it had carried her until she found the courage to walk without it. She gently placed it against the wall. For the first time, she would meet Kwame with nothing hidden between them. She smiled. Then, someone knocked. 3 quiet knocks. Melissa opened the door. An elderly woman stood there, elegant, graceful, her eyes already filled with tears. Neither of them spoke. For several moments, they simply stared at one another. Finally, the woman whispered, "Melissa." The color drained from Melissa's face. "Mother." The old woman stepped forward and held her daughter as though she feared she might disappear again. "I've searched everywhere. I searched hospitals. I searched churches. I searched cities." Her voice broke. "And all this time, you were here." Melissa closed her eyes. For the first time, the village heard her cry. Not quiet tears, the kind of tears only a daughter can cry in her mother's arms, beneath the old mango tree. Teacher Kwame arrived early. He smiled to himself, for reasons he could not explain. He felt nervous. He brushed the dust from the old wooden bench, opened his book, then closed it again. He wasn't going to read today. Today, he wanted to listen. Back in the little room, Melissa told her mother everything, not just about the village, about the children, about Mama Abina, about peace, about laughter, about the teacher beneath the mango tree. Her mother listened quietly. When Melissa finished, the old woman smiled through her tears. "I haven't heard your voice sound like this since you were a little girl." Melissa looked toward the window. "I have to go." Her mother nodded. "I know." Melissa reached for the door, then stopped. Her mother gently held her hand. "There is something you must know." Melissa turned. "Your father." A long silence. "He is gone." Everything inside the room stopped. The wind, the birds, even time itself. Melissa stared at her mother, unable to breathe. "He kept calling your name." Her mother's voice trembled, until the very end. The little room became unbearably quiet. Melissa slowly sat down. The strength left her legs. She covered her face and wept, not as a rich woman, not as blind Melissa, simply as a daughter who had come home too late. The sun continued its slow journey toward the horizon. Under the mango tree, Teacher Kwame looked toward the dusty road. She would come. He smiled, she had promised. The children passed him on their way home. "Good evening, teacher," he waved, never taking his eyes off the road. The shadows grew longer, the birds returned to their nests. The marketplace became quiet, still. Melissa did not come. Kwame looked at the empty road again, then at the old bench beside him. He smiled sadly. "Perhaps," he whispered, "tomorrow." He picked up his book, walked home, and never knew that only a few hundred steps away, the woman he had been waiting for was crying over a father she would never see again. Sometimes, life is not cruel because it takes people away. Sometimes, it is cruel because it lets two hearts find each other one day too late. There are some kinds of waiting that no clock can measure. Waiting for rain, waiting for healing, waiting for forgiveness. And then there is the waiting that quietly changes the person who waits. That was the kind of waiting Teacher Kwame came to know. The evening Melissa did not come, he told himself it was only for one day. The second evening, he believed she had been delayed. By the seventh, he stopped making excuses. Yet, he still came every evening, just before sunset. He would finish marking his students' books, close the classroom door, pick up one book, and walk toward the old mango tree. Always the same bench, always the same place, always the same road. Waiting. The village noticed. Villages always notice. "Teacher," one old man asked, "are you expecting someone?" Kwame smiled. "I suppose I am, but she never comes." Kwame looked toward the dusty road, then quietly replied, "Not everything worth waiting for arrives on time." The old man never asked again. Days slowly became weeks. The rainy season arrived. The children continued filling the classrooms with laughter. Mama Abina still made soup every Thursday. The marketplace remained full of life. Everything continued. Everything except one thing: Melissa's laughter. Sometimes, without thinking, the children would look toward the mango tree, as though expecting to hear someone reading stories someone would always remember. Blind Melissa isn't here. The games became quieter. One afternoon, little Efua walked into Kwame's classroom carrying something carefully wrapped in cloth. "Teacher," she whispered, "I found this." She opened the cloth. Inside was the tiny wooden bird, the one the children had carved, the one Melissa always carried. Kwame gently picked it up. His fingers slowly traced its wings. He smiled very softly. "She forgot it." Efwa shook her head. "I don't think she did." Kwame looked at her. Children sometimes understand things adults cannot. He carefully placed the little bird on the shelf beside his books. It remained there, every day, waiting, just like him. Meanwhile, far away from our little town, Melissa had returned to a world she no longer recognized. The gates of her family estate opened. Luxury cars waited. Business partners bowed respectfully. Lawyers filled conference rooms. People called her Madam Melissa. Every room she entered fell silent. Months earlier, this had been her life. Now, it felt like someone else's. One evening, after another long meeting, Melissa walked into her father's study. Everything remained exactly as he had left it. His chair, his glasses, his unfinished notes. She gently sat down, then opened her handbag. Inside lay a folded piece of paper, worn from being opened too many times. She unfolded it once again. The child's handwriting had begun to fade. "Thank you for seeing us, teacher." Melissa closed her eyes. The tears came quietly. She wasn't crying because she missed the mansion. She wasn't crying because she missed her father. She cried because somewhere, beneath an old mango tree, there was a peace money could never buy. Back in the town, teacher Kwame had developed a strange little habit. Every Friday, he bought 2 roasted ears of corn, never one, always 2. The old woman selling them finally laughed. "Teacher, do you have a secret guest?" Kwame smiled. "No, but Hope," he answered gently, "has a funny habit of preparing for company." The old woman handed him the second ear of corn without charging him. She never said why. Perhaps she understood. On the 43rd evening, Kwame sat beneath the mango tree once again. The sun slowly disappeared behind the hills. The bench beside him remained empty. He placed 1 roasted ear of corn beside him. The other rested in his hand. The breeze carried children's laughter from the school. He looked toward the road one final time, then smiled. Not with disappointment, with gratitude. He quietly picked up the untouched corn, broke it into pieces, and gave it to the children running past. One little boy asked, "Teacher, are you finished waiting?" Kwame looked toward the road one last time, then answered, "No. I'm simply learning that waiting can also be a way of loving." The little boy didn't understand. Neither did we. Not then, but many months later. When Melissa finally returned, we remembered those words, and suddenly, everything made sense, because love isn't always found in the people who never leave. Sometimes it is found in the ones who quietly keep a place for you until you find your way home. The wind gently moves through the branches of the old mango tree, and every evening for 43 sunsets, that old tree kept their secret until the day it finally gave them back to each other. There is something about hope. It is a stubborn thing. Even after disappointment, it keeps waking up. The morning after Melissa returned, our village felt different. Not louder, not happier, just expectant. The old school had become a place of strange excitement. Builders measured walls, children watched with wide eyes, women carried water, men mixed cement. Nobody had been asked to help. Yet somehow, everyone did. Melissa worked beside them. She carried bricks, swept classrooms, served food to the workers. Not once did she speak about money. Not once did she remind anyone who she had been. She behaved as though she had always belonged there. Only one person had not yet seen her: Kwame. That morning, he had traveled to the next village to collect examination papers. He knew nothing at all. By late afternoon, the old pickup truck finally appeared on the dusty road. The children saw him first. "Teacher!" they shouted. "Teacher is back!" Kwame smiled. He waved, but something felt different. Everyone seemed unusually excited. He looked toward the school, scaffolding, fresh timber, workers. He frowned. "What is happening?" No one answered. Instead, Efwa grabbed his hand. "Come," she laughed. "You have to see." She pulled him toward the school, toward the mango tree, toward the place where he had waited for 43 evenings. Melissa was sweeping beneath the mango tree. The old bench was covered in sawdust. She hadn't heard him arrive. She was humming softly to herself. A song Mama Abena used to sing. Efwa stopped running. She smiled mischievously, then quietly let go of Kwame's hand and disappeared. Neither of them noticed. For several seconds, Kwame simply stood there, looking. The woman beneath the tree looked familiar. yet somehow completely new. No dark glasses, no white cane, no careful steps, just Melissa. She slowly turned. Their eyes met. For the first time, there are moments when words become too small. This was one of them. Neither spoke. The wind gently carried a few mango leaves to the ground. Melissa smiled first. Not the uncertain smile. He remembered. A peaceful one. The kind that only truth can give. I kept my promise, she whispered. Kwame looked at her for a very long time. Then his eyes fell to the empty place where her white cane should have been. He smiled, a sad smile, a beautiful smile. I know. Another silence. Then Melissa quietly said, I'm sorry. Kwame nodded. I know. More silence. She lowered her eyes. I should have come back sooner. I know. Tears filled Melissa's eyes. You must have hated me. Kwame looked toward the old bench beneath the mango tree, then back at her. No, he answered softly. I was hurt. His voice never rose. He never accused her. That somehow made the words hurt even more. Melissa wiped away a tear. I wanted to tell you. I know. My father died. I know. Melissa looked up suddenly. You knew? Kwame smiled gently. Mama Abena came to see me. She told me enough, but she kept your secret. Melissa closed her eyes. Relief washed over her. I thought you believed I had simply disappeared. Kwame looked toward the school. I believed life had interrupted your courage. Melissa covered her mouth. She began to cry, not loudly, just quietly. Kwame took a slow step toward her, then another. He stopped beside the old bench, the same bench where months earlier he had promised, I'll wait. He rested his hand on the weathered wood. Do you remember? He asked quietly. The story I once read to you? Melissa smiled through her tears. The traveler searching for treasure. Kwame nodded. You asked me if he felt foolish. I remember. He looked around the village, at the children painting classrooms, at Mama Abena laughing with the builders, at the little school coming back to life. Then he whispered, I finally know the answer. Melissa waited. He didn't feel foolish. He felt grateful. She looked at him. Why? Kwame smiled. Because sometimes you have to lose the life everyone envies before you find the one your soul was created to live. Melissa could no longer hold back the tears. She stepped closer, very carefully, as though afraid the moment might disappear. Kwame, she whispered, I didn't come back hoping you would forgive me. He looked at her. I came back because I couldn't imagine building my future anywhere you weren't. Silence. Long, beautiful silence. Then Kwame did something none of us expected. He held out his hand, not as a lover, not yet, as a friend, as a man choosing to trust again. Melissa looked at his hand, then slowly placed hers inside it. No applause, no music, just the sound of children laughing nearby. The old mango tree had witnessed many things, arguments, promises, laughter, goodbye. But that afternoon, it witnessed something rarer. Two people. Time has a gentle way of healing what force never could. The rainy season came, then passed. The little school stood proudly once again. Its broken roof was only a memory. Children filled its classrooms every morning. Some arrived barefoot. Some carried books held together with string. Yet every one of them arrived, believing tomorrow could be better than yesterday. Teacher Kwame smiled more often now. Not because life had become easier, but because he had stopped carrying it alone. Melissa never returned to the city, at least not to leave. She visited when she had to. She managed the businesses her father had left behind. But every journey ended the same way. Back to the village. Back to the old mango tree. People often asked why such a wealthy woman would choose to live in such a simple place. Melissa always smiled. She never answered, because some answers cannot be explained. They can only be lived. The village slowly stopped calling her Blind Melissa, not because they had forgotten, but because she was no longer the woman who had first arrived carrying a white cane. She had become Teacher Melissa. The children were the first to call her that. The name stayed. Some mornings she taught reading. Other days she simply sat beneath the mango tree, listening to children tell impossible stories. She laughed more than anyone. Mama Abina often watched from her doorway. One afternoon, she smiled at Kwame. "Do you remember the day she arrived?" Kwame laughed softly. "I do. You wouldn't even walk beside her." Kwame lowered his head. "I was afraid." Mama Abina smiled. "Of a blind woman?" Kwame looked toward Melissa, surrounded by laughing children. "No," he whispered. "I was afraid of becoming alive again." Mama Abina quietly wiped away a tear. So was she. The old woman looked toward the sky. "Perhaps," she whispered, "God knew that broken people sometimes need another broken person to remind them they're still worth mending." Years later, people from distant villages came to see the little school. Some came because they had heard it was beautiful. Others came because they had heard of the woman who built it. Whenever they asked about Blind Melissa, the villagers always smiled. Then one of the children would answer, "You mean Teacher Melissa? She isn't blind. She just helped all of us see." Many years have passed since then. The old mango tree still stands. Its branches are wider now, its roots stronger. Sometimes, when the evening sun begins to disappear, I still see them sitting beneath it. Teacher Kwame with another book, Melissa pretending not to listen, while secretly remembering every word. Some stories end with weddings. Ours did not. It ended with two people discovering that love was never the destination, wholeness was. And when two whole people finally find each other, they no longer ask, "Will you complete me?" They simply say, "Let's help others heal too." People still ask me if Blind Melissa was real. I always smile. Then I tell them the truth. Melissa was real. Kwame was real. The mango tree was real. The little school was real. But the greatest miracle was not that a blind woman could see. It was the two wounded hearts finally stopped pretending and found the courage to come home. And if you should ever pass through our little village, you'll find an old wooden bench beneath a great mango tree. The children will tell you that two people once sat there and changed each other's lives. But the old ones among us know the deeper truth. They didn't just change each other's lives, they changed ours too. Because after Melissa, we became slower to judge, kinder to strangers, quicker to forgive, more willing to believe that everyone we meet is fighting a battle we cannot see. And maybe that was the greatest gift Blind Melissa ever gave us. Thank you for sharing this journey with us. If Blind Melissa touched your heart, please like, subscribe, and join us again for another unforgettable story. Until next time, take care of your heart.